Notices the absence of a quorum. The sergeants at arms will prepare the chamber and bring in the absent members. The clerk will call the roll.
Adams, Amiano, Anderson, Arambula, Bass, Bell, Bill Berryhill, Tom Berryhill, Blakesley, Block, Blumenfield, Bradford, Brownlee, Buchanan, Caballero, Calderon, Carter, Chesbro, Conway, Cook, Cotto, Davis, De La Torre, De Leon, DeVore, Emerson, Ing, Evans, Furor, Fletcher, Fong, Fuentes, Fuller, Furutani, Gaines, Galgiani, Garrick, Gilmore, Hagman, Hall, Harkey, Hayashi, Hernandez, Hill, Huber, Huffman, Jeffries, Jones, Knight, Liu, Logue, Lowenthal, Ma, Mendoza, Miller, Monning, Nava, Nestande, Nilo, Nilsson, Norby, V. Manuel Perez, Portantino, Ruskin, Salas, Saldana, Silva, Skinner, Smythe, Solorio, Strickland, Swanson, Torlixon, Torres, Tarico, Tran, Valines, Yamada, Mr. Speaker.
We ask our guests and visitors in the rear of the chamber and the gallery to please stand for the prayer. We ask our Assembly Chaplain, Father Konstantin Papadimos, to offer the day's prayer.
Good morning. Let us pray. Lord, it's easy to get so focused on our dreams and goals that it consumes us. But if we have to have something in order to be happy, our lives are out of balance. Freedom comes to us when we can say, Lord, I'm turning it all over to you. You know my desires and what's best for me. I choose to trust you and trust your timing. Help us to be content with our circumstances so that we can live in peace and in joy, knowing that you have only good things in store for our future. Amen.
We ask our guests and visitors to now stand and join Assemblywoman Lowenthal for the flag salute. Assemblywoman Lowenthal. You may be seated. Thank you. Just make sure my phone is off. Reading of the previous day's journal.
Assembly Chamber, Sacramento, Thursday, April 22nd, 2010. The Assembly met at 9 a.m. Honorable Fiona Mossman, Speaker Pro Tem of the Assembly, Presiding Chief Clerk E. Dawson Wilson, the desk, Timothy
Mr. Calderon moves. Mr. Hagman seconds that the reading of the previous day's journal be dispensed with. Presentations of petitions, there are none. Introduction and reference of bills will be deferred. Reports of committees will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Messages from the governor, there are none. Messages from the Senate, there are none. Motions and resolutions. The absences for the day will be deemed read and printed in the journal. Mr. Calderon.
Madam Speaker and members, I request unanimous consent to allow Assemblymember Block to have guests and photographers on the floor.
Without objection.
Also, I request unanimous consent to refer bills to committee per Assembly Rule 96. And those bills are AB 2466 by Mr. Monning from the Utilities and Commerce Committee to the Elections and Redistricting Committee.
Without objection.
Under file notice waivers, request unanimous consent to waive the file notice requirements to allow the Veterans Affairs and the Jobs, Economic Development, and Economy Committees to hold a joint oversight hearing on Tuesday, April 27th at 3:30 in room 126.
Without objection.
And after great persuasion on the part of Mr. Blumenfield, which actually involved a few tears in the process, I request unanimous consent to allow Mr. Blumenfield to use a display during the presentation of his AB 2756.
Without objection.
And finally, at the request of Mr. Hagman, I would like to remove file item 109, AB 2533, by Mr. Fuentes from the consent calendar.
Clerk will note. There they are. I'd like to welcome the State Public Affairs Committee of the Junior Leagues of California here. They are in the gallery. They are Susie Berg, Junior League of San Francisco, Catherine Carlton, Junior League of Palo Alto Mid-Peninsula, Juliana Dodick, Junior League of San Francisco, Mia Fletcher, Junior League of Fresno, and Christine Hammond, Junior League of Long Beach. Thank you and welcome. Okay, members, we are going to business on the daily file. Second reading, the clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2059, 1740, 2034, 2114, 2435, 2655 with amendments, 1791, 1955, 2747 with amendments, 2699 with amendments, Assembly Concurrent Resolution 152 with amendments, AB 2081, 1837 with amendments, 1993 with amendments, 2521 with amendments, 2629 with amendments, 2325 with amendments, 2581 with amendments, 1817 with amendments, 2299 with amendments, 2313 with amendments, 2329 with amendments, 2561 with amendments, 1771 with amendments, 2163 with amendments, 2084 with amendments, 2294 with amendments, 2620 with amendments, 2729 with amendments, 2646 with amendments, Assembly Concurrent Resolution 132 and Assembly Bill 2717 with amendments.
All bills will be deemed read and amendments deemed adopted. Members, can you please come down to the floor? We are ready to go to business on our daily file, third reading. Members who have bills on the third reading, we are going to start taking them up momentarily. Please come down to the floor. I'd like to also take this opportunity to welcome the CalPERG students up in the gallery. Thank you, CalPERG, for all you do, and they're supporting Cal Grants today. Thank you. Mr. Calderon.
Request unanimous consent to return to motions and resolutions.
Without objection.
In my motion to refer a matter from UNC to the elections, apparently I misspoke and said it was AB 2466. It is AB 2467, and would request unanimous consent to refer that from the UNC Committee to Elections and Reapportionment.
Clerk will note. Okay, members, we are going to our third reading file. File item 35 through 41, pass and retain. File item 42, pass temporarily. File item 43 through 49, pass and retain. File item 50, AB 1911. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1911 by Assemblymember Garrick, an act relating to Ronald Reagan Centennial Commission.
Mr. Garrick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Permission to read a little here.
Without objection.
Members, I rise today to present AB 1911 to honor Ronald Reagan's great life. This bill would establish the Ronald Reagan Centennial Commission in order to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Reagan's birth, which will occur next year on February 6, 2011, and would ask the Commission to create ways in which California can appropriately remember his accomplishments, his life, and his works throughout his life. Ronald Reagan was first elected president in 1980, receiving 489,000 of 538 electoral votes. He was elected in 1984 by an unsurpassed margin, the highest in the history of our country, winning 49 out of 50 states. With these victories, President Reagan became the first and only person to serve both as governor of the state of California and president of the United States. When Reagan was inaugurated in 1981, he inherited a disillusioned nation shackled by rampant inflation and high unemployment. Over the course of his presidency, he worked in a bipartisan manner to enact his bold agenda of restoring accountability and common sense to government, which has led to an unprecedented economic expansion and created 20 million new jobs in America. The Ronald Reagan Centennial Commission will be composed of the following: 9 members as described, the 4 legislative leaders or their respective designees, 1 member appointed by the governor, and 4 members appointed by the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation connected with the library. Of these 4 members, 1 member shall be a former governor of the state of California, 1 will be an individual who served in the Reagan administration's presidential administration, and 1 would be an individual who served in Ronald Reagan's gubernatorial administration, and the 4th member would be at large. This bill also prohibits the Commission from using any public funds to carry out its objectives. It will be supported solely by private funds. Again, there will be no public funding associated with this. This bill has no opposition and passed through the Business Professions and Consumer Protection Committee on 11-0. Thank you, and I urge an aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Gehrig moves the call. File item 51 and 52 pass and retain. File item 53, AB 1995 for amendments. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1995 with amendments by Assemblymember Gaines.
Mr. Gaines.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. These amendments simply make technical changes to address concerns with the Department of Fish and Game's fee structure as relating to AB 1995. Currently, if a license is lost or stolen, the license holder must pay for a brand new license and all subsequent stamps used on a license at full cost. Now that records of licenses purchased are kept electronically, the costs of issuing duplicates have been reduced significantly. The amendments reflect this reduction in cost and align the fees the Department currently issues for replacements. I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Seeing no further question and debate, this will be a voice vote. Members, all in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The amendment will be adopted. Out to print and back to file. File item 54, pass and retain. File item 55 and 56, pass and retain. File item 57, pass temporarily. File item 58, AB 1919. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1919 by Assemblymember Davis, an act relating to local government.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This bill, AB 1919, will delete the $10 fee exemption under the Survey Monument Preservation Fund for grant deeds conveying lots created by recorded tract maps. Existing law exempts over 80% of the parcels in the city of Los Angeles from contributing to the Survey Monument Preservation Fund and places the entire burden of continually maintaining this fund on less than 20% of the parcels. AB 1919 will provide for the collection of a $10 fee by the county recorder on most grant deeds conveying real property. It will require the $10 fee to go into the County Survey Monument Preservation Fund, which covers expenses incurred by the county surveyor for retracting major historical land division lines upon which private surveys are based. It will also require that when the survey is done by the city engineer in the city of Los Angeles, that the $10 fee be transferred to the city treasurer to reimburse the city of Los Angeles for expenses incurred by the engineer of the city in conducting that survey. Currently, grant deeds conveying lots created by tract maps are exempt from the fee. This bill will eliminate the exemption. Deleting the exemption for deeds conveying lots created by recorded tract map closes an inequitable loophole in which the fee of $10 user fee for grant deeds conveying real property exists. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I respectfully ask for the aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Davis moves a call. We're going to go back, members, to file item 57, AB 2493. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2040-93 by Assemblymember Fuller, an act relating to conservators.
Ms. Fuller.
Speaker and members, AB 2493 is a straightforward bill that requires a conservator to ensure that a clear photograph of its conservatees is taken and preserved for the purposes of identifying the conservatee if he or she becomes missing. In the most serious cases, conservatees wander from care and cannot be identified. In one case in San Bernardino County, a conservatee had wandered out of another county and ended up unidentified in the San Bernardino County Public Hospital for nearly 6 weeks. If AB 2493 had been in place, the conservatee could have been identified quickly and returned to his conservator safely. The bill is sponsored by San Bernardino County because they recognize the important obligation conservators have in ensuring health and well-being of their conservatees. AB 2493 received unanimous support in the Judiciary Committee. I ask for an aye.
Ms. Yamada.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I rise in support of AB 2493. I'm actually surprised that we don't have this requirement already in the law. And certainly as the graying of California proceeds, we're going to have more and more cases in which this is going to become more important. I know that there have been other efforts to address something similar to an Amber Alert called a Silver Alert, and I look forward to continuing to work with the author and others on this floor in advancing protections for seniors and those with disabilities, such as Alzheimer's. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, noes 0. Measure passes. We're going to go to item 61, AB 2410. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2410 by Assemblymember Fuller, an act relating to child abuse.
Ms. Fuller.
Speaker and members, I want to thank my colleague, Chair of the Assembly Public Safety, Assemblyman Tom Amiato, for understanding the importance of this measure. May of 2009, 4-year-old Angel Vito Mendoza from Bakersfield was attacked and had his eyeballs forcibly removed with a spoon by his father, who was under the influence of PCP. This bill clarifies that law enforcement and social service agencies can consider hallucinogens such as PCP when developing their written policies for response to a crime scene. Measure empowers law enforcement and social service workers to take the appropriate steps necessary to ensure that children are kept safe. This measure is in response to a horrific crime that should never have occurred and has galvanized our community. In closing, AB 2410 received unanimous support in the Assembly Public Safety Committee, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, noes 0. Measure passes. We're going to go back to item 42, AB 1809. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1809 with amendments by Assemblymember Smythe.
Mr. Smythe on the amendments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. These amendments further clarify the intent of the bill by taking the language out of the home inspection portion of the Business and Professions Code and placing it in a newly created section. These amendments resolve the concerns voiced by the Coalition of California Home Inspectors. Request that the amendments are put out to print and back on file.
Seeing no questions or debate, this will be a voice vote, members, on the amendments. All those in favor say aye. All those no. The ayes have it. The amendments adopted will be adopted out to print and back to file. Mr. Block, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to introduce some guests we have from San Diego. There is a program in San Diego where young women are selected based upon their community service and their academic success as scholarship recipients. And we have with us today 3 of those young women: Lynette Negron, Miss Bonita in San Diego; Sandra Chavez, Miss San Isidro; Ashley Horner, Miss South County; and chaperones Sandra Chavez and Jennifer Gulnitz. So, members, please recognize them for the work they do for the community.
Okay, members, we're going to go back to file item 59, pass and retain. File item 60, AB 2268. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2268 by Assemblymember Chesbro, an act relating to alcohol and drug abuse.
Mr. Chesbro.
Madam Speaker and members, this bill, AB 2268, will align California statute with federal law that specifies who may prescribe and treat drug addiction with the approved forms of buprenorphine. Currently, the California Department of Alcohol and Drug Programs is considering the interaction of existing state law with the 2002 approval of office-based use of buprenorphine by the Federal Drug Administration. As part of this review, ADP has noted that current California law does not align.
Members, can we have some attention?
Does not align with federal law concerning who is authorized to prescribe this drug. This bill will remove that ambiguity, eliminate the legal risk that is currently present for the 1,200 qualified current physicians in office-based settings who are prescribing this drug. This bill is sponsored by the Department of Alcohol and Drug Programs, supported by the California Medical Association and many others. It has no opposition. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 49, no 0. Measure passes. File items 62 through 65 pass and retain. File item 66, AB 2756. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2756 by Assemblymember Blumenfield, an act relating to mobile billboard advertising displays.
Mr. Blumenfield.
Madam Speaker, members, I rise today in support of Bill AB 2756. This bill is about road spam. I hate to say it, but spam from the virtual world is invading us here in the physical world, and this is what it looks like. What we have happening in the San Fernando Valley is blight. It is a disease that is happening, and it's going to happen across the state for all of you in all of your districts if you haven't experienced it yet. What you have instead of, you have Viagra ads, you have ads for massage parlors, all sorts of things where they take an unhitched trailer, they park it in a legitimate parking spot, and they leave it there. They leave it there for a long period of time. It takes up parking that we need. It's a safety hazard. These things are getting blown down all over the place. Cars have to swerve around them. And as well, it creates a tremendous amount of blight. Legitimate business owners hate these things because they park them in front of their business. You have a new car dealer trying to make a decent living, and what happens? Somebody parks one of these things in front saying, hey, go down the street, buy something from Joe's. This bill has no formal opposition. I know there's been some confusion on the Republican analysis, but there was some concerns, but the car dealers are not opposing this. In fact, the ones in my district are strongly in support of this. Members, the purpose of this bill is to give local communities a chance to regulate this kind of blight. They've tried in Los Angeles to do this, to get rid of it, but what's happened is it's gotten caught up in litigation where the only way that they could get rid of it is by putting a sign on every entrance to the city, which is technically impossible to do in the city of Los Angeles. So the bill is very simple. It merely flips the presumption and says, it says to local municipalities, if you want these things, you're welcome to have them. It's completely permissive. You make up your own regulations on the city level and you get rid of them. But it's saying the assumption will be that these things are not allowed. And by flipping that presumption, it saves local government the onerous burden of having to put up signs everywhere they want to get rid of these things. So I ask for your support of this bill to help communities and to remove blight. Thank you.
Ms. Strickland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Chatsworth is part of my district that has this big issue, and so it raises some significant concerns. But I did want to clarify that we have been in contact with the New Car Dealers Association. They have formally removed their opposition because of the author's willingness to work with them, and they continue to make progress so that they are indeed no longer opposed at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Adams.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Actually, a question of the author, or actually, I prefer to ask the question of the co-author. Is that permissible, Madam Speaker?
Without objection.
Mr. Fuhrer, I was wondering if you could help me understand just the constitutional question about prohibition on commercial speech and how this bill seeks to ensure that that's not going to be a subsequent issue.
Mr. Fuhrer, for what purpose do you rise?
This question. And I'm perfectly happy to discuss Mr. Adams' question if the Speaker would care for me to do so. I'm a joint author. Yes. Whatever the Speaker's pleasure is, I'm happy to adhere to. Yeah. Yeah.
In order for you to speak, Mr. Fuhrer, we need unanimous consent of the body.
Madam Speaker, I have a suggestion. I'll put my mic down and then I'll raise it again and ask to speak, and at that point I'll respond to Mr. Adams' question. Is that fair?
Without objection.
Thank you.
Mr. Blakesley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A question of the author.
Without objection.
In our community, which is a very rural community and is not suffering from the kind of blight you're describing, these types of signs sometimes are used for small farmers market type operations, people who have a fruit stand, those that maybe have no other opportunity to express to people who are driving by that there's a small opportunity to sell their product. And the legislation, as I saw it when it was in committee, didn't seem to address that issue that, although the bill makes a lot of sense in an urban setting, it might not work in a rural setting. Have you thought about taking amendments to address that concern?
Mr. Blumenfield.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very open to, as stated, the intent of this bill is not to deal with that issue, and happy to take amendments to make that crystal clear that communities can do that and make it as easy as possible for agricultural communities to do that. Again, the purpose of this is to get rid of the road spam that's blighting urban areas and may blight other areas. But I'm very open, and I work with you to make those amendments clear.
Thank you. With that commitment to help our rural communities, I'd be happy to support the bill.
Mr. Fuhrer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I actually rise in response to our colleague's question. The First Amendment provides protections for commercial speech and for other forms of speech, political speech, for example. There are lesser protections for commercial speech than those which exist for political speech. In the commercial speech context, and indeed in other contexts as well, one is a jurisdiction is free to impose time, place, or manner restrictions on commercial speech, discriminating between one form of commercial speech and another. We like this ad because of its content, but not this ad because of its content, raises a whole host of other questions. This bill does not present those questions, however. This bill simply would authorize municipality to have a different method of enforcing what is already a general rule. So I do not see that this bill in any manner implicates any First Amendment problems. By contrast, what it does do is, on a permissive basis, as Mr. Blumenfield has mentioned, allow local control over a source of blight that distracts motorists, that takes up commercial parking that otherwise might be available for businesses in the area, and is a source of blight. I urge an aye vote.
Mr. Blumenfield, to close. Would you like to close, Mr. Blumenfield?
Thank you very much. I ask for your support to get rid of road spam.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Blumenfield moves the call. File item 67, AB 2217. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2217 by Assemblymember Fuentes, an act relating to jurors.
Mr. Fuentes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Assembly Bill 2217 represents a law catching up with technology in the context of the sanctity of the jury room. Current law requires judges to admonish jurors against improper communication and gives judges enforcement power through the contempt of court statutes. This bill merely updates these statutes to reflect the proliferation and almost universal usage of cell phones, BlackBerries, and other modern modes of wireless communication and research. The problem of jurors improperly tweeting, Googling, and texting during their service on civil and criminal trials is well documented and has become a very serious problem. Such behavior jeopardizes the fairness and effectiveness of our justice system. There are many examples of problems created by this kind of irresponsible behavior. If you were to go onto Twitter at any time, you would see hundreds, if not thousands, of tweets by jurors and potential jurors improperly discussing cases they are sitting on or as potential jurors. And it's easy to see why when you see some of our elected local and state legislators doing the same thing. But when it comes to our jury system, it only works if we are making sure that jurors base their decision on the information they receive in the courtroom, filtered through our evidence code. When jurors look to the outside for information or improperly communicate or disseminate information, they create not only injustice to the litigants, but unnecessary cost to the taxpayer. This bill addresses the problem by requiring judges to specifically admonish jurors that they are not to use any form of electronic information gathering or research while they're impaneled. Further, this bill modifies the civil and criminal contempt statutes to give judges the power to enforce these admonitions. This bill has a wide amount of support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 53, no 0. Measure passes. File item 68, pass and retain. File item 69, AB 1643. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1643 by Assemblymember Smythe, an act relating to alcoholic beverages and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Mr. Smythe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. AB 1643 is very similar. As a matter of fact, it's exactly like AB 172 that we passed last year. However, due to a chaptering error, we have to bring the bill back again this year. Simply, a community college in my district, College of the Canyons, is limited in the use of their facilities for events in the evening because of a statute that restricts the use of alcohol at facilities that use K through 12 schools use. Although this events would happen well after school hours when there are no K through 12 students on campus, the law still prevents them from using it. At a time when we're trying to help our colleges support themselves with fundraisers and other events, this is one limitation that has prevented them from doing so. So I ask that you join in supporting this bill as you did last year and moving it on to the Senate. I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 50. Oh, it's on an urgency. Sorry. Clerk will close the roll now. Ayes 54, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 54, no 0 on the measure. The measure passes. File items 70 through 74 pass and retain. File item 75, AB 1906. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1906 by Assemblymember Cook and others, an act relating to grand juries.
Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 1906 would allow the County of San Bernardino to impanel an additional civil grand jury. Existing law authorizes the presiding judge in any county to impanel a grand jury to serve for a period of 1 year. San Bernardino County has found that a single grand jury with a 1-year term is insufficient in fulfilling the vital role assigned to them. This bill would be of no cost to the state. The analysis notes minor, non-reimbursable permissible costs to San Bernardino County. The bill does not require the county to impanel an additional grand jury. It merely gives them the option. The bill has had unanimous support in public safety and appropriations, and I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 56, no 0. Measure passes. File item 76, AB 2153. Mr. Liu. I'm sorry, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2153 by Assemblymember Liu, an act relating to health facilities.
Mr. Liu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This bill seeks to address emergency overcrowding. In California, we are dead last in the nation in terms of residents per emergency room. And this bill is modeled on plans that have worked in New York plus at County USC. It requires hospitals to create a full capacity protocol plan. This bill is supported by the California Medical Association and the American College of Emergency Physicians. It's received bipartisan support in both Health and Appropriations Committee. Request an aye vote.
Mr. Chesbro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a good bill insofar as it addresses emergency rooms in California that are overcrowded. There are rural parts of our state with very, very small hospitals that seldom, if ever, experience overcrowding. And so I've spoken with Mr. Liu and offered to work with him over on the Senate side when this bill's over there. But I would just like to put a marker on the fact that we don't want to put any unnecessary burden on the smallest hospitals in the state that where this need really doesn't, this bill really shouldn't apply. So he's offered to work with me on that, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 54, noes 1. Measure passes. File item 77, pass and retain. File item 78, AB 2199. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2199 by Assemblymember Bonnie Lowenthal, an act relating to mental health.
Ms. Lowenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 2199 deletes a few lines of the Welfare and Institutions Code that, as ridiculous as it sounds, calls on state mental health officials to study, and I quote, the causes and cures of homosexuality. It was written in 1950 during a special session on sex crimes called by Governor Earl Warren. It was the legislature's response to the public outcry over the molestation and murder of a 6-year-old Los Angeles girl. Her name was Linda Glukoft. I didn't know about Linda when I introduced the bill, but since then, we've talked to her younger sister. She thinks it's terrible that Linda's memory is in any way linked to the kind of ignorant bigotry expressed in the Welfare and Institutions Code. I originally intended to blot out the entire section. After all, there hasn't been any such study in more than 5 decades. But some of you said there was a sentiment in the code about protecting children that you wanted to save, regardless of whether there was any study or not. And I agree. And what's more, we talked with Linda's sister, and she agrees too. So the result will be the laws that should have been written 60 years ago, but now we're setting things right. AB 2199 is sponsored by Equality California and enjoys the support of the California Psychological Association, California Mental Health Directors Association, California Marriage and Family Therapists, Disability Rights California, and the California Teachers Association. I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Hagman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I was rise to support this bill as well. I was a no vote in public safety, and I want to thank the author for taking the amendments that she did so we all can support the language and urge aye vote as well.
Mr. Amiano.
Yes, I want to thank Assemblywoman Lowenthal for her valiant effort to enlighten the laws of the state, particularly those based in ignorance and fear, and also want to say many have tried and none have succeeded. It's time to get this phony cure off the books.
Mr. Adams. Nope. Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 62, no 0. Measure passes. File items 79 and 80 pass and retain. File item 81, AB 2349. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2349 by Assemblymember Fong, an act relating to workforce development.
Mr. Fong.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. In the summer of 2009, nearly 50,000 low-income youth in California were employed through the California Youth at Work program, partly due to a temporary stimulus of federal funds. Youth participants gained work experience in paid positions and learned how to search for a job, workplace etiquette, and technical skills. However, without consistent federal funds and a significant decrease in Workforce Investment Act funding over the last 9 years, only a few youth programs remain. California's low-income youth have had the most significant decrease in employment rates. AB 2349 can offer disadvantaged youth the guidance they need to be competitive in the workforce while encouraging them to finish high school. This bill passed policy and fiscal committees with bipartisan support and is sponsored by the California Workforce Association and supported by many organizations, including the state PTA. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 57, no 0. Measure passes. File item 82, AB 2468. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2468 by Assemblymember De Leon and others, an act relating to lactation accommodation.
Mr. De Leon.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. AB 2468 seeks to encourage more employers to provide supportive work environments for new mothers who choose to continue breastfeeding after returning to work. I would like to note to my colleagues that last year I authored AB 514, which would have required employers to provide a 20-minute paid rest period every 4-hour work period for new mothers to express milk. This bill takes a completely different approach. AB 2468 would create a voluntary, let me underscore and emphasize, voluntary program that offers employers the opportunity to use the designation breastfeeding mother-friendly workplace if they implement a comprehensive workplace breastfeeding policy. The significant health benefits for both breastfeeding for mothers and babies is very well documented. Breastfeeding mothers have reduced risk for breast and ovarian cancer and type 2 diabetes, and breastfed babies are less likely to have developed ear infections, stomach viruses, asthma, diabetes, as well as childhood obesity. There are also potential benefits for employers, including reduced worker turnover, shorter maternity leave, lower absenteeism due to a sick child, high morale among employees, and a lower and fewer health insurance claims. This program, I believe, would be a win-win-win for California mothers, babies, and employers. This is a bipartisan bill, both on fiscal as well as policy. I ask my colleagues respectfully, and I vote.
Mr. Gaines.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair and members. I rise in support of this piece of legislation. I think it's very helpful for children in terms of keeping our children healthy in the state of California. I appreciate the author's willingness to make this voluntary in nature, so I would urge an aye support.
Seeing no questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 61, noes 3. Measure passes. File item 83, AB 2478. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2478 by Assemblymember Mendoza, an act relating to school safety.
Mr. Mendoza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm here to present AB 2478, which gives school administrators and local law enforcement the authority to address disruptions that threaten the physical safety of school children in preschool, elementary school, middle school, while they are coming to, leaving from, or attending school. The need for this bill arose from a lawsuit filed from the Center for Bioethical Reform against the Los Angeles County Sheriff and LA Unified School District. In this case, the Sheriff's Department had intervened to control a demonstration that had threatened student safety. The Center for Bioethical Reform filed a subsequent lawsuit. The lower court upheld the actions of the sheriff, but the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals held that the Penal Code Section 2626.8 did not permit school administrators to contact law enforcement. However, the Ninth Circuit acknowledged that if the California legislature adopted statutory language to address the situation, the outcome would have been different. This bill has enjoyed strong bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Aye 61, no 0. Measure passes. File item 84, AB 2654. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2654 by Assemblymember Hill, an act relating to solicitations.
Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. Existing law provides limited protections against deceptive business solicitations and mailings that imply official government status. Deceptive solicitors follow the letter of the law by including a disclosure statement, but bury the notice in the fine print, making these advertisements appear official and from the state. These ads contain threats of penalties, fines, and include other terms to make them appear genuine. AB 2654 requires that such solicitations disclose their non-governmental status and affiliation at the top of the first page of the solicitation or mailing to avoid any deception, intentional or otherwise. Members, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no further questions or debate, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 42, noes 20. Measure passes. File item 85 and 86 pass and retain. File item 87, ACR 135. Clerk will read.
Assembly concurrent resolution 135 by Assemblymember Smythe relative to West Nile virus and mosquito and vector control awareness week.
Mr. Smythe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. This is sponsored by the Mosquito and Vector Control Association of California, declaring the week of April 26th through April 30th as West Nile Virus and Mosquito and Vector Control Awareness Week. As we know, West Nile virus is a mosquito-borne disease that can result in many different diseases that I can't pronounce here, but you all, meningitis, I can pronounce that one. Encephalitis, thank you, and thank you, doctor. And in 2009, West Nile virus caused at least 4 deaths in California and 105 human cases in 19 countries and counties throughout the state. At this point, I would like to ask, seeing my colleague from Orange County not being here, open the roll for co-authors initially.
Mr. Smythe is asking for the first roll to be open for co-authors. The clerk will open the roll. This is for co-authors, members.
Jeffrey.
Co-authors. There will be 64 co-authors. Seeing no further discussion or debate, we can take a voice vote on this item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay.
You're gonna go add on as a
The
co-author?
ayes have it. The measure is adopted. Mr. Swanson, would you like to welcome your guests in the gallery?
Madam Speaker and members, we are honored today, Madam Speaker, to have with us the 5th grade class from my district, from the Thornhill Elementary School. They are accompanied by their teachers, Mr. Wilkins and Ms. Young, and they're also joined by a member of the class, Russell Sue, who is Anita's nephew. She works in the Rules Committee for us. And they're right here. Give them a round of applause. Okay. Thank you for coming, and enjoy.
Thank you. Members, all items on the Senate third reading will be passed and retained. We are going to go back and lift the call on 3 items still on call. Item 50. Clerk will post. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 62, no 0. Measure passes. File item 58, AB 1919. Clerk will post. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Mr. Davis moves the call. File item 66, AB 2756. Clerk will post. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 46, noes 14. Measure passes. Consent calendar. We are at the second day consent calendar. Does any member wish to remove an item from the second day consent calendar? Seeing and hearing none, clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 2461 by Assemblymember Emerson, an act relating to vehicles.
Clerk will open the roll on the consent calendar. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 66, noes 0. The consent calendar is adopted.
Assembly Bill 2314.
Ayes 66, no 0.
Assembly concurrent resolution 103.
Ayes 66, no 0.
Assembly concurrent resolution 126.
Ayes 66, no 0.
And Assembly concurrent resolution 146.
Ayes 66, no 0. Members, Assembly Member Hill would like for members and staff to know that there are free health screenings for lung function, specifically chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. They are being held today on the west steps of the Capitol. No appointment is necessary, and the event ends at 1 p.m. Members on the west steps until 1 p.m. Free health screenings. The session schedule is as follows. Tuesday, April 27, check-in session. Wednesday, April 28, check-in session. Thursday, April 29, floor session at 9 a.m. Mr. Davis, we are prepared to lift the call on your bill. It's the last item today. Mr. Davis, we are going to lift the call on your bill. File item 58, AB 1919, members. Clerk will post. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Okay. Clerk will close the roll, tally the votes. Ayes 40, noes 30. Measure fails. Mr. Davis notices reconsideration. I am ready to entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Calderon moves. Mr. Hagman seconds that this House stands adjourned until Thursday, April 29th at 9 a.m. Quorum call is lifted.